We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing.
And welcome. We below the belt, people. We below the belt. We below the belt. Where else y'all want us to be? This country in fear, life and fear. Why are the people must play fair? We below the belt. Good to see each and every one of you who are joining us. And guys, welcome to another podcast of Below the Belt. I'm your host, Sherrod Duncan. And today I'm going to be talking with one of our members of parliament, the one and only Ronald Cox. And Ronald represents us in Region 1 and just excellent work, guys, in Region 1. And we're so glad that you guys are joining us. We're talking this afternoon about the Hinterland connection, Region 1 in focus. And we hope that you guys can join us during this year lunch break. We are happy to be sharing your lunch hour with you guys. So open your bowl. If you bring your little cook up or your little curry and roti, whatever you have brought, we are tremendously happy that you are with us today. We are grateful, guys, that you guys are making you guys are joining us for lunch. Esther Blue, we see you. Esther says, I'm sad right now. We see Laverne Cameron out there. We see Claire, Alexis, Charmley, Richmond, and Shelley D. Ridder. A lot of fantastic folks joining us out there on social media via our podcast, The Hinterland Connection, Region 1 in Focus. That is our topic for discussion today. Guys, the weather outside is lovely. It's not frightening. It's lovely. The new Christmas song says, the weather outside frightening. It is beautiful. It's 29 degrees in Georgetown, folks. How is the weather where you are? How is that weather, guys, where you are? We hope the weather is great. We hope the weather is fine where you guys are. There's a 24% chance of rain, believe it or not, according to weather.com. There's a 24% chance of rain. 29 degrees outside. It is beautiful weather for work. And we've had intermittent rain, and that has kept the heat down. And guys, we are grateful for that. Tremendously grateful for that. Beautiful weather outside. Again, wherever you guys are joining us from, we ask that you share the live stream. Dashawn Alexander, share the live stream where you are. Precious Queen, why don't you share the live stream as well? Delroy Bumbery, how are you, Delroy? Good to see you as well. Good to see all you fantastic folks. Wilton Blue, I see you. Elizabeth Nurine, joining us from Sparkle City. She says it's chilly here in Sparkle City. Definitely joining us from the diaspora. Good to see each and every one of you. And thank you for taking some time out with us this afternoon. Thank you for sharing your lunch break with us this afternoon. You know, people different in the diaspora. You take your lunch break when you could get it. Back home here, folks, if they let you out to 12 o'clock, it's problems, you know. It's problems. People don't tools at 12, especially public service. You see when 4:30 come, people pack the bag and the gun. One do left till tomorrow. That is how we do it here. But welcome to each and every one of you folks like Derek Smith. Good to see you. Erwin Don Cook. I see you out there, Erwin. Great to have all of you fantastic folks joining us. We are peaceful people, guys. Struggling, we struggle. Yeah, that's how we do it here. Struggling, we struggle. Before we get into our discussion, guys, you know, we are following this information, following the reports that former Finance Minister Winston Jordan has been detained. I'm choosing my words carefully. He's been detained by SOCU. You all know that politically affiliated entity these days. The organized crime unit there. And we are being made to understand that former Minister of Finance, Winston Jordan, he is being sought for what they're calling misconducting himself in public office. Nonsense. It's all trumped up charges and nonsense. You know, since Winston started speaking out against his government about a mismanagement of the economy and how things tight, Suddenly, they're giving Winston a lot of attention, but we know that Winston Jordan has the testicular fortitude, and we backing him. Below the belt, backing him. We are standing resolutely with former Finance Minister Winston Jordan. I see you. Is it? I never. Well, I shouldn't say I never know how to pronounce this name, but I'm struggling to pronounce it. Miss Joseph. First name is it? Hi. Let me just say Miss Joseph. Marlene Comini Van Veen. We see you out there. It's nonsense. A whole host of trumped up charges. Misconducting yourself in public office. They got the nerve. What happened to the fraud charges with Anil Nandalal for stealing law books, dismissed by the DPP, and you talking about misconducting yourself in public office? What happened to Ashley Singh fraud charges, dismissed with no reasons given by the DPP? You're talking about misconducting yourself in public office? Utter nonsense and foolishness. But Viola Innes, Derek Smith, Laverne, Rosemary Albert, Laverne Cameron, we know these jagabats are neighbor with Winston Jordan. He has the testicular fortitude to hold strain. To hold strain, Winston, we backing you. We backing you. We know that he has been detained by Soku. Soku is now headed by all the PPP underlings, all the PPP minions, some people who themselves have misconducted themselves in public office, but they're still going strong. So we're following what is happening as pertains to Winston Jordan. And we're going to keep you guys posted, whether towards the end of our program or definitely in the ring this evening when we join you guys again. The other bit of information we are following, guys, is this 7% that the Jagabats pay out. And one of the very issues rather, that Winston Jordan has been speaking out against. The criminality of it, poor style, all the money we making as an oil economy, and you giving people 7%. Shame on this installed administration, this installed catfish administration. And I know it's only time before they come for me, but I able with y'all. Whole pack of jagabats and scamps. Huh? Hands in handcuffs, I'll still be calling y'all scamps and vagabonds, hypocrites, Jebusites, Philistines. That is who they are. So we saw this bit of information concerning this 7% and who's entitled to it before we get into our discussion. Who's entitled to it? Here what this circular read out of the Finance Secretary, Ministry of Finance. Here what the circular read. At number 2, this is a circular, folks. This circular went out quite recently, November 19, and it's to all heads of budget agencies. It's from the Finance Secretary, Ministry of Finance. And here what the thing said. The second point it notes, the increases are payable to workers who were employed, right? Well, let me give you the categories of persons rather. All traditional public servants, defined to mean those employed in ministries, departments not under ministerial control, regional administration, and public service-related agencies, is a whole bundle of nonsense. It's total confunction nonsense and confusion powder. With this whole 7% issue that Jordan has been speaking out against. The APNU AFC administration increased wages and salary every single year. This is the third budget they're approaching. And 5%. They ain't got no shame. They ain't got no shame at all. Folks with us this afternoon, we are privileged to have the MP out of Region 1. This is a man who is always on the ground, working very, very, very hard. Member of Parliament, Ronald Cox, and we're pleased to have Ronald join our discussion this afternoon below the belt. Welcome, Ronald.
Hi, thank you, Sharon. Thank you for having me on your program.
Fantastic. It is our privilege to have you, Ronald, because we know you're a man on the ground in Region 1 all over, listening to the people, trying to respond to some of their issues, wherever and however you can. We know that the resources of the opposition aren't what cannot match the government by any means, but you have been out there making a positive difference. So let us start by saying congratulations to Ronald, because Ronald has just, well, not just, but just had a new baby. So congratulations, MP.
Thank you, Sharon.
Fantastic. Ronald, we're being made to understand that there are several issues affecting the residents there in Region 1. And why not us start with one of the most pervasive? You know, we've been trying with COVID-19. You know, people like Frank Anthony, installed Minister of Health, just tell me that we got the Alpha variant, well, rather the Delta variant here. After about 4 or 5 months, Paho told us we had that variant. He now conforming it, right? And no sooner is he conforming it, we got the Omicron variant to deal with. And we heard that Brazil, I think it was, just had its first case of the Omicron variant. So we know it's right on the border there. But one of the things that stands out in this poor COVID governance of this installed regime, Ronald, is the fact that we've heard recently that Region 1 is seeing an uptick in COVID-19 cases.
Yes, Sharon, indeed, the management of COVID-19 is of concern to us. And yeah, quite recently, I was made to understand that there are increases in the number of active cases in Region 1. I was made to understand that the community of Wangna is one of the hotspots, or the hotspot at this time. So, yes, we have increases in cases. It is worrying, and I am not sure of the regional authority here to effectively address the issue, or what is the Ministry of Health plan, what strategy they have in place to, help people to remain safe and all of that. We are yet to be told of their plan, but it's worrying that, yeah, we have cases, active cases at the moment.
One of the challenges, Ronald, that we've seen nationally and also in areas in Region 1 is that the government says one thing, but their own officials do something totally different. So you have curfew for the ordinary man, but government officials go to bars and so forth, and they're sporting and they're drinking and they're carrying on. And they themselves have been the purveyors of COVID-19 with all of the large gatherings and all those other things. So we're not surprised in a sense, Ronald, that COVID-19 is on the increase there. We are very taken aback that, the residents have to suffer in this way, but the government has mismanaged COVID-19 from day one.
That is so true. That is true. And like I said earlier, that is worrying. Like you rightly said, Sherrod, government position are highlighted in the gazetted order and in other things. But they themselves, they are contrary to what is put out there as measures to prevent. So, like you rightly said, there are gatherings, there are different activities, and now that we have an increase in cases of COVID here, it makes me wonder if the gatherings that the government had over the last few weeks or so, one of those is the distribution of flood relief cash grants. Because at those distribution of cash grant, there were gatherings in various communities, crowds gathered to collect money. And so now we're seeing a rise in cases. So it makes me wonder if those gatherings were actually what caused us to now have this increase. It doesn't surprise me if that's the result.
Ronald, because on our program here, we always encourage people, to practice all the COVID-19 protocols, social distancing, wearing masks and all of that. But again, you have these protocols, and then you got this government that don't care. And they have been marching to from Bautistern throughout this country, having the gatherings and so on to appease their supporters. And then this is sadly the result of all of that at the end of the day. Really, really sad when you think of the lives that are at stake, because this COVID virus is going to be with us for a little bit. It's going to be with us a little bit. And what is going to happen? We're going to have to look to better management. Now, coupled with this uptick in COVID-19, Ronald, in the region 1 there where you are, MP Ronald Cox, we see that you have this whole issue also of the Venezuelan migrants who are here, and the fact that the reports suggest that some of them have not been having the best of in terms of food and so on. There, some of the children from the picture we're seeing looks malnourished. Even some of the adults as well. We're being made to understand from one report you have about 24,000 Venezuelan migrants locally. I mean, what's happening there in Region 1 where this is concerned, MP Ronald Cox?
The issue with the Venezuelan migrants, that is a very serious one, Sherrod. And it requires
talk to us.
A holistic plan, not just regionally, but from the government level. We have a lot of them. They are within our community. So they will go to government to access government services. For example, they will go to the hospital. And so if regionally the RDC used to budget, let's say, $10 on health for 5 persons, now $10 cannot compensate for an additional 5. So it places pressure on the RDC to effectively roll out their program.
Wow.
So,
regional pressure.
Yeah, it's a pressure. And so if they don't adequately address it and try to, I don't know, they are our brothers and sisters, so we have to incorporate them in our society. At the end of the day, they'll put the pressure on us, and so we have to respond. Yes, like you rightly said, a lot of these people came here, the Warraws especially. They traveled for weeks in canoe from Venezuela until they reach here, without having access to food, proper food and water and so on. So when they reach here, they're already sick, and so some of them got malaria. As I read some of the articles, malaria was some of it, and so you have limited access to nutritious food. Then you have malaria. Then obviously that is the picture that you saw in the news. But I saw that the minister visited, and they were trying to, cover some of it by saying, no, there is no, in other words, they're trying to say it's not a serious case as the non-governmental organization, I think it was some Blossom something.
Yeah,
how
correct.
they put it.
Yeah.
So they were trying to cover that up. But I don't agree in covering up anything. The situation is serious, and the situation needs urgent attention. I saw the UNHR, I think they are. They were here last week, and so from time to time they try to assist. They do a lot. But I'm saying generally, we need a plan on how to move forward with them. And not just social services like health and education, Sherrod. Security is a great concern as well.
And
because we have persons, some of these migrants are ex-military persons from the Venezuelan army. And so they are also incorporated here. We don't know who they are, but we know that there are some of them. I met some of them, and I could tell they are ex-military people. And so Venezuela is claiming Essequibo as their own, and you have a large number of Venezuelans here with these ex-military people. Let's say one day they decided, okay, we have 5,000 of us here, and within the 5,000 we have 200 ex-military people. Why not? Let's take over Essequibo.
Very interesting.
let's say that happens, Sherrod. What is our plan? Do we have a plan? Do we have a plan to actually address that effectively? Are we preparing? And we have to prepare for anything and everything. Are we doing that? So that is a concern by residents, and I want to
Interesting.
raise that here.
Yeah. Very interesting, Ronald, because, coupled with that is the fact that we are not prepared to do what it takes. You have had a very lackluster approach to border issues, to border controversies that are ongoing. They got infighting in the foreign affairs, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs right now as we speak. Pocketori at the consulate in Washington D.C. Pocketori with the persons who are managing this very case that we have with the Venezuelans. And then here we have, as you rightfully articulating, all of these migrants here. And the sad part of this, none of us like to talk about race, MP, none of us. But persons are drawing the connection to the fact you had some Haitians here the other day. They were badly treated by this installed PPC administration. And now you got 24,000 Venezuelan migrants. And it's like, whatever happens, happens. It is sad.
That is sad indeed. That's sad. And like you rightly said, Cheryl, that shows, or that is an evidence of another issue, another social issue that we face, which is racism. We cannot and we must not get away from it. We have to address the issue. And if you have a government, as installed as they may be, they in their approaches, in their policy decisions, you could clearly see racism. Then we're not heading anywhere when we speak, or when the government speak of one Guyana. And that is of great concern.
Yep. And the other thing that is now being attributed, you mentioned these ex-military folks who are there as Venezuelan migrants, and what could become a very, very serious national security issue in our country. But Irfan Ali Catfish, quite recently in a press conference where he spoke about crime and what crime is doing in our country, Irfan said that in Region 1, and I'm quoting him now, he said one crime is too much. Those were his words. One crime is too much. But he said in Region 1, crime has increased 130% in Region 1, 130%. What are your thoughts on that aspect, MP Cox?
That is worrying, Sherrod. That is cause for concern. And well, these regions were considered the safest region when it comes to crime. And now that we're being told, I read the article, I read the news article, and it says Region 1, 6, 7, and 9. Those were the regions that saw large increases in crime. Now, it says two things. One, this administration has no plan, or is very poor in executing their plan in preventing crime. Two, the society has gone so bad, so much in disarray that persons no longer respect the rule of law, and our social life is threatened in terms of providing for ourselves. So now we resort to the last thing, which is crime. We have needs, and our needs have to be met. The government is failing to provide those needs. Well, then people are opting to the extreme. Sadly, that has to be the case.
Yep. For those folks who are now joining Below the Belt, we want to encourage you guys to share the live stream. We want people to know what is happening in regions like Region 1. We want people to know what this catfish install Pocketori administration has been doing, their mismanagement, their ineptitude, their bad, poor leadership. You know, and as we're talking what's happening with Region 1, those of you who are now joining us, we started our program this afternoon by talking about the fact that former Finance Minister Winston Jordan is right now detained by Soku, right now as we speak. So, guys, please share the live stream. We want you guys also to click on that emoji button there and let us see your own emotions. How are you? And thank you for sharing your lunch hour with us. You know, MP Cox again, you know, it's really sad to see that, you know, the PPP talk a good talk, but it's all, they put the gas in oil and gas. It's sheer hot here. It's sheer gas. Another issue we saw quite recently, very, very stunning, is the closure of what I made to understand, Ronald, you're the man on the ground there, is the only bank in Region 1 closing its doors until further notice. I think this was GBTI. Until further notice. I mean, some folks who reached out to us said this is some, the fact that the government has changed up where gold and so on is deposited or something of that nature in the region, the bank can get any kind of money to sustain its operation there. And we saw on the bank's Facebook page too, they said until further notice. And we know that is going to come to a hardship, with hardships for the folks in Port Kaituma, for instance, in Region 1, that depend on that bank to do their business and that kind of stuff. You know, and they're talking how the economy is doing so well, and 19.4% growth in the economy and all that, with banks closing. MP Cox? Things are nice and banks closing.
Yes, Sherrod, I laugh, but it is a serious thing. Yeah, it makes me wonder also, if the economy is doing so well, why would the only bank in an area or in a region want to close its doors? Why? You're the only bank, which means that you have access to every single resident of that region income.
Mm-hmm.
And you're closing. Something is wrong. They are definitely not profitable because the bank is all about making money. So once they're closing, it tells us one thing: they're not profitable. Now, when the bank in Port Kaituma closed, these people who work there and these business people with the gold, their other resources, like I think in Kaituma they have gold and manganese. So when these business people have to travel to Georgetown and back to Port Kaituma with large cash on them, they are being put at risk.
Them boys gonna come out.
If you cannot access the service locally, well, then you have to travel to Georgetown. That will cause an increase in more criminal activities. You are putting those people at risk, but they don't have a choice. They have to do it. Business needs to go on, and so they will have to do it at high risk. And if you see more crimes coming out, well, then we know why.
Yep, I mean, it is very sad. And I think there is stuff that is happening in this economy that we don't have the insight to as yet. And that is why somebody like Winston Jordan is so critical. And I think that is why you're seeing all of these machinations by this installed catfish regime, because they want to tell you, oh, they're plugging the economy with all of this money and cash grants, and oh, this 19.4% growth in the economy expected for 2021. But Guyanese don't feel it in the damn pockets. And we need folks like Winston Jordan, who has the insights, who has years of experience, who was far better than this accountant, Ashley Singh, right? Far better. Something is happening in this economy. Something. And GCCI, the Georgian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, told us shortages coming for Christmas, but I think things are real tight for 2022. Real tight. So people out there better watch how they're spending the money. Watch how y'all spending them remittances that y'all family send y'all for Christmas. Watch how y'all eating out everything out in the barrel. Things gonna get more tight. MP Cox?
Yeah, so that's as how we see things going, Sherrod, it will not be surprising to see that things become even more tighter than it already is. The government is more concerned with being vindictive and fighting among the the head offices in the various ministries on petty issues. They're more concerned with that. And like you already said, Mr. Jordan is far better. And they will not deny that because he worked under the PP government as well when Jagdeo was Minister of Finance.
Mm-hmm.
So he is good. They know that he is good. And so they are afraid that he can bring out things that will show their weaknesses. And so they're just trying to fight back by creating these,
I would say trumped up bogus charges. Nonsense about misconduct is having public office.
To distract the citizens. And that's all the intention is, to distract us. But we know that Mr. Jordan is good. And what the PB should be doing is, all right, you listen to Mr. Jordan, and in your own secret space, you try to address it. Or let's take some advice from Mr. Jordan. He will not know that we took the advice, but let's make him talk less by doing exactly what he's pointing out are our weaknesses. But they're not doing that. They don't want the people to know that. So that's sad. And you mentioned earlier about the Foreign Affairs Ministry. I have no apology to make on this statement, Sherrod.
Mm-hmm.
Minister Utah is one of the worst Minister of Foreign Affairs Guyana ever had. And
I agree with you.
It shows in everything that is happening with regards to foreign affairs. And so we are in a sad situation. I want to go back to a point where we were talking about crime. I don't know if it's surprising that Region 1, 7, 6, and 9, which are the bordering regions with other countries, Region 1 and 7, Venezuela, Region 9, Brazil, and part of Venezuela as well, and Region 6, Suriname. Those are our bordering regions. We're seeing highest increase in criminal activities. I don't want to speculate anything, but we can make our own conclusion, and it needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hear you. Ronald, you're talking about all these issues, and this is Region 1, we went Region 1 to 10, and these are just a couple of the things that we can fit into an hour of discussion. Ronald, we know you are an MP on the ground, village to village, alley to alley, street to street, creek to creek, river to river in Region 1. What are people telling you on the ground about this catfishing style, stink, wicked, and dirty administration as you traverse Region 1?
Well, when I go to communities, Sherrod, I like to hear, first of all, the views of the supporters of the government. I'm not going to talk to a supporter of the opposition because you will not get a true feeling of how things are going. Because people will say, "Oh, you're talking to your own supporter." Well, obviously, they'll tell you what you want to hear.
So you're talking to people like Schumann and son.
Exactly.
Talk to us, MP. Talk to us.
So, talking to these people, you get a sense that they regret voting for this government. A few persons in PP stronghold communities said to me personally, "We regret we voted." That's a direct quote from a resident. Another one said, "Next election, I want to give you a chance." Because the PUP ain't doing, and I can't repeat that last word, but it starts with S. The PUP ain't doing S. I said, "What do you mean give me a chance?" He said, "I want to vote for you next time. I want to vote for you. I'm not voting for you, though, because you on the opposition. I'm voting for you because you're one of us, and I want one of us to represent us better." And they think that I'm that person.
I like the sound of that.
One other person said, "When is local government election?" I said, "I'm not sure." He said, "Why?" He said, "Because we're thinking about making you regional chairman.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no.
Mm-hmm.
Regional election is held with national election. So the regional chairman cannot change until an election,
Yeah.
national election.
They got to
So-
put up with the jagaba there.
Yeah, that's one. Next one says, I want to make you mayor. So all these things coming. I said, we will talk about these. We have plans in place whenever these elections come around. And we will put the best candidate up.
And
What?
MP, imagine it's just 15 months into this administration, and the
It's
own
only
people
15 months.
fed up with them because the wicked
Yes.
stink and dirty.
Exactly. When it comes to the 7% increase across the board, we encourage people to take it. Any increase is good, and any increase is deserving to them. But the question is it good enough? Is it adequate? So we had a talk again with PVP supporters. I am telling you, Cheryl, these are PVP supporters who never used to bend. One of them said, she showed me her finger, her index finger. She said, you see this finger here?
Mm-hmm.
She said, this ain't staining again. Never for them. She didn't say who she will support, but she said it's not staining again for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the sense you get in. We can conclude on the ground that persons are fed up of what is happening under this administration. And if things continue the way it is, we will end up in serious trouble. And the other trouble that the government will end up in is losing their supporters, which we will work on to ensure happens.
Yeah.
We
I
want
want
them
that.
out
Yep.
of government. That's our intention. Get them out of government and replace them back with a competent government that looks after people.
Yep.
And not party comrades and business financiers, and you plug in resources
cabal.
like finances to them. And so that next election you could throw out a 5,000 to our indigenous brothers and sisters and say, look, man, take this vote for us
Exactly.
again.
And then you're
That
giving.
will not work, Cheryl. I am ensuring that I will work to ensure that every indigenous brothers and sisters take whatever money comes their way, but must be willing, confident enough to say, I'm taking your money, but I'm not voting for you again.
You say the right thing there, my brother. And it's not only Region 1, the supporters saying they're tired of them. You know, it's places like Region 2. We're hearing the same thing in Region 5, in Region 6. People fed up of them. They squander million, they thiefing, they thievery too much. It plenty, it enough. People fed up of them. 15 months in is a whole set of nonsense. Right? A whole set of nonsense. So that is what we have happening here. MP, before we let you go, we know that you are vying for office in the upcoming 21st Biannual Delegates Congress of the PNC, your party of choice. And I really want to get your thoughts as to how the race is going thus far in those pursuits. I think you deserve a place at that table of leadership there. How is the campaigning and so on going thus far? I see that we're just a couple of days out, about 8 days to go.
Yes, Sherrod. Sherrod, I want to say thank you for your confidence in me.
You're welcome, my brother.
Personally, Sherrod, I thought to myself that as a newcomer member of parliament in the PNTR, that I don't want to yet jump into the leadership aspect of the party.
Mm-hmm. The full-fledged leadership.
I was pleasantly surprised when I saw my name as a nominee for the position of vice chair for the party.
Excellent.
It means that somewhere there, some group or groups see the leadership qualities in me.
Just like the people just like the people in the region there who want to be mayor and vice chair and all that. It is a natural fit.
Exactly. They see what they're looking for. And so some of them had nominated me. I don't know which group, I don't know from which region, but they nominated me for vice chair. Um, I am prepared if there are persons within the party who believes that I have the quality as a leader. I am prepared to accept whatever position they will nominate me for, because the PNCR is one strong democratic party. We elect leaders in a democratic process, and that is a strong point of the PNCR. Not because you have several candidates, it means that the PNCR, as some people want to put it, is disjointed. It simply means that we are democratic and we allow our supporters to elect our office bearers. And that's simple. And so if they see me as a potential candidate and a leader, well, then let them decide. I am, though.
Go right ahead.
Yes, I'm running for central executive member for Region 1 on the new management after Congress.
Great.
So
Great.
I'll encourage persons to vote for me as the representative on Central Executive Committee for Region 1. I believe that we must include as much representation of indigenous communities in our political party, and try to bring the PNCR to all these non-traditional supporting base. We must establish PNCR party groups in every single indigenous communities.
Fantastic.
Bring to the people what we intend for them to know, what are our plans for them, and everything, so that when elections come, these people are educated on what is happening, and they know they will make the decision on what they see as the best. So that is my intention, Sharon.
Sounds good to us. And you know, MP Ronald Cox, you talked about, to me, ethnicity and race there. And I want to elevate the discussion in terms of your prospective election to the post that you're vying for here in this PNCR race. Because you're on the ground working for the people, you should be elevated to a position that helps you to amplify their voices and their concern, and also to be able to expand on the kind of the kind of solutions you can bring to bear. So it's not like you fall out of nowhere. You're on the ground there in that place with those people going through all the trials and the travails facing them because of this installed catfish waste time administration, right? And you have to be elevated to a position that enables you to do more for them. I see it as a natural elevation.
Thank you, Sharon. I'm young and I have just started, but the potential is great, and the confidence in the people, or the confidence by the people, is what will propel me to that position that you seeing in beyond the walls from now. So the time will come, Sharon, when we must change the face of the leadership of our political parties.
We hear you, brother. We hear you. We hear you.
When that time
we hear you.
Appropriate, the people will decide.
Yeah. It is an idea whose time is coming. MP Ronald Cox. MP, you know, we are so grateful to have you below the belt today discussing these varied issues that are occurring in Region 1, thanks to this installed catfish administration. And we are so grateful for you as a person and as an MP representing the coalition so well in that region. And we wish you and your family well. We wish you, all good things in this professional endeavor and in your personal life as well. MP Ronald Cox joining us from Region 1.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for having me, and may you have a good rest of the day.
Thanks very much, MP. Thank you. Folks, don't leave us as yet. We got an update. We got an update on that issue with the former Minister of Finance. Winston Jordan. We have an update, and I think my brother from another mother and from another program, The Rush, is going to join us and give us an update on that. Let me see if I can invite him into the studio very quickly. He was passing by. He said, Lonka got us with him information. If you need it, it is yours. And we're going to try to pull him in the conversation ASAP. So you guys can have an update of where we are this hour on the detention of Winston Jordan, the former finance minister. I have him with us. Randy, a very good afternoon. Welcome below the belt, my brother.
I hope you're not hitting too low below the belt.
My brother, wherever it hurts. Wherever it hurts.
you know, in boxing after a couple, 2 or 3 hits below the belt, you get disqualified.
Yep. And we gotta hit them below the belt for this detention of Winston Jordan. Right? Because them boys ain't playing fair. Yeah. Randy, how the hell we can play fair? How we can play fair? You tell me that. How we can play fair? Huh? So what's happening, Randy? We were made to understand coming on that former finance minister Winston Jordan has been detained by Soku, and that's the information we have at this hour. What do you know?
Yeah. Well, I know that the leader of the opposition just made a statement on it. I don't know if you have it already. I know how good the source is.
Talk to us a little bit about what was conveyed in that statement.
I know the leader of the opposition, of course, was very strong on his position that this is just the vindictive PPP regime at it, and the victimization of opponents, political opponents, and he, of course, vowed to stand with Mr. Jordan and of course give him that legal support. I will try and send you the audio, Sherrod, so you can play it for your listeners.
Great.
I know persons may be wondering what was said, but again, the leader of the opposition very strongly condemning the action and vowing to stand with Mr. Jordan on this. Sherrod, it is unbelievable at this point in time that these people are so barefaced in their actions. A matter that is before the court already.
Sub judice.
Before the court.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. So I'm really hoping that you can play that statement so that your listeners can hear, or if you want me to, I can.
Go right ahead if you can do it from your end. As long as the audience can hear it clear. But we understand. Randy, as part of your program on Fridays, you have a young advisor to the office of the leader of the opposition. You all discuss economic issue.
Yeah.
Jordan has been right in every goddamn thing he said concerning this government and their mismanagement of the economy. And we know that is what they're hitting at. Their feelings have gotten hurt. They're emotionally distressed.
Yeah. I had Winston Jordan on a few weeks before this announcement of the 7%. And he said, based on his calculation, they will give us 5 to 7%. And we know that they like across the board. So he even predicted that they will not do a progressive increase, that they will give an across the board increase on the money. And so he has been exposing them. He's been proven correct time and time again. And this is why and I want to say this. I listened to Bar Jagdeo a few months back. And this was an old recording of him recounting the arrest of Ashley Singh, the arrest of Brassington, and the arrest of the presidents, Ali.
Yep.
Right? He recounted it, and I could hear the vitriol in his voice and his tone. I could hear the longing for some sort of revenge, if I can put it in that way. I could hear it in his tone. So it is not surprising, Cher, that we are seeing these things unfolding in front of us, because I believe that this is a vendetta campaign, right? It is intended to drag public officials through the mud, to embarrass them. There is no other explanation for going to arrest a man who is already, in the court for a matter that is already in the court. The same thing we saw with Mr. Paul Slow, sorry, not Low, Paul Slow. We saw that there was an attempt to make a public statement, so to speak, right? And if we go further back here, this same sort of behavior we see when we look at the Christopher Jones fiasco. The fact that they wanted to make it a public thing, they wanted for the image to come out of them moving stuff out of Christopher Jones's house. It must seem as if this man thieved something, right?
Yep.
They want to
And you
paint
know,
with that brush.
Randy, I'm happy you said that, because Chris himself has often said that these Jagabats, they either call you a thief, you're a murderer, or a rapist. Those are always their part of the arsenal in their playbook to discredit you. And we saw that playbook being used against Christopher Jones, but he has stood his ground. And what, close to probably a year after, where has the case gone? It's a whole pack of nonsense. A whole set of cases before the court with no evidence. And KG1 Yasin just the other day called him out on that. Call him out on that. And as I mentioned, Chris, I got a message from Chris early on that suggested, well, just a few moments ago, rather, Christopher Jones, who is the opposition chief whip, said that they have moved Foreign Minister Winston Jordan now to the lockups.
Wow.
They have moved them to the lockups. You understand me? All right. People don't have when first bell ring, They don't have when first bell ring, but it's when second bell ring.
Yeah. Sure, let me play this statement. Let me play the statement by the leader of the opposition, and we can continue on the other end.
All right. Thanks very much, Randy. Play it from your end. Thanks.
Yes.
Folks, stay with us. The statement from the leader of the opposition.
Former Minister of Finance, Mr. Winston.
Coming up.
Folks, stay with us.
A few minutes ago, I received a call from former Minister of Finance, Mr. Winston Jordan, that he was invited down to the Sohu, where upon arriving at Sohu, he was informed that he was going to be placed on a charge. He was arrested and placed on a charge for misconduct in public office. Now, this is one of the most atrocious pieces of actions by the PPP administration. They had indicated this earlier, but certainly we never believed that they were gone to such depths to actually file a charge for a matter which is already before the court in a civil jurisdiction, and that is before Justice Brassington Reynolds. So this is, in far as I'm concerned, this is just about harassment of Mr. Jordan. As far as we are concerned, the AP and UAFC are concerned, we have dispatched legal representation for Mr. Jordan, and I want to give him and his family and friends the assurance we will stand solidly behind him. We will ensure that he gets the best legal representation in this matter, and that the plans of the PPP will be thwarted. They are seeking to silence the voices of those who speak out against them. And this will not silence Winston Jordan. In fact, it will bring up many more Winston Jordans who will speak up as loud as Winston Jordan is, and even louder. So take notice, PPP install regime. I thank you.
Randy, thanks very much for that. And I just want to put my thoughts on the record about this whole shenanigans. It's bullshit. That's what I want to see. That is what it is. Scatter them, oh Lord. Scatter the enemy. Randy?
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, I can't agree with you more, Sherrod. We see it. And, I often say that this installed regime had a golden opportunity, one, to unite this country, and one, to govern in a manner, because, a manner that everybody benefits, because there was a lot of talk. And when I speak to people like Elson Lowe and a number of other young economists, they're so excited about the prospects given the amount of money that will be coming to the country. And they normally say something like, with the rising tides, everybody's boat will float, will come up. That is what people were believing that will happen. That with the rising tide will raise everybody's boat. But this administration, this regime has shown their unwillingness or inability, I don't know which one, the unwillingness or inability to actually govern in a manner that sees everybody's boat rising or raising. They've shown us that over the last 480 something days that they're in power. And it is sad because there was so much excitement about the country and the prospects moving forward. Instead of that, what we have seen is them spending a whole lot of time running behind these frivolous charges of their political opponents and trying to change the laws and do all manner of nonsense instead of focusing on this little country, this little country with a whole set of money, instead of focusing on how we can make these 800 and something thousand people's lives better. How we can figure out that, how we can do that. They've consumed themselves, and I believe I might be wrong, but I believe that we know the man behind this confusion. We know that it's Jagio behind this
Papa Jagabat.
Vindictive, right?
Papa
this
Jagabat.
Vindictive way in which you're going about governing, and it's a sad state because what are young people looking forward to? What are the public servants to look forward to? What are the nurses to look forward to? What are the majority of this country looking forward to? What they're looking at is that they're going to see a certain set, the elites, putting up big buildings and casinos, and they're going to be standing in awe looking at them. I keep saying this. We are so quickly heading down the road of a state that is going to be marred by instances of the Dutch disease, and we're not focusing, and they don't seem to want to fix it. So again, Sharon, I don't know at all. I like you say every night, we gotta fight.
We gotta keep
We
fighting.
have to fight.
We gotta keep fighting. Randy, thanks for jumping in the podcast on such short notice to bring us up to date on a very, very important issue. Folks, Randolph Critchlow, better known as Randy, the popular host of the afternoon program, The Rush. Thanks, Randy, for stopping by. Thank you so much.
All right, Sharon, no problem. And let me say before I go that I will continue to advocate for those persons who have votes at the upcoming Congress to cast their ballots in favor of Mr. Harmon. I make no bones about it. I believe that our party needs to change course, and we need not to go back. So I will say this. Allow me to plug.
and Randy, I think you yourself vying for high office there as well.
Well, I was nominated, Shared. I saw my name, very surprised, saw my name there. But I will, of course, say very publicly that I support Ms. Annette Ferguson for vice chair. I was nominated for vice chair, but I support Ms. Annette Ferguson for vice chair. I support Mr. Royzel Ford for chairman. Of course, Mr. Harmon for leader. And for those delegates who are listening, if you see my name there, do go ahead and tick it for CEC. I would accept that nomination for CEC.
Fantastic. Best wishes, Randy. Best wishes in your aspirations. The very best wishes, my brother.
Thank you.
Folks, that's our program. That's our program for this afternoon. But before you guys rush off, last night we featured on our program this young entrepreneur, an entrepreneurial company called GT Wines. And, the folks were so gracious to send us a bottle of their wines. They were so gracious. I'm going to put it up on social media. I was so heartened by this gesture. And the beautiful folks there at GT Wines told me, they said, Mr. Duncan, don't drink it unless you got some free time, because it can knock you off your foot. They said this is one of the strongest one. This one called Stroke Us Boss. We were about to pop the cork on coming on the program and warn you guys that if we talk out of turn is the thing. But when we heard what has transpired with our comrade, the Right Honorable former Finance Minister Winston Jordan, he wasn't Finance Minister within the office of the Ministry of the Presidency and all this nonsense. He was Finance Minister, the substantive Finance Minister. When we heard what transpired with him and his detention, we had to keep this wine here on ice, folks, until we have a chance to celebrate properly. But the season has started, and we really want to thank the folks there at GT Wines. Guys, if you want a good wine, try something new and different for the holidays. We recommend this GT wine highly. It comes out of Buxton. Y'all think that can come out properly from Buxton? Only some people who want to talk a whole set of foolishness all the time, but who get them contract and who get them money for big fixed ground and all kind of nonsense. This company emerged from Buxton, and it is the best of Buxton in a bottle. The best of Buxton in a bottle. This GT wine here. And I'm so heartened by the gesture from the company sending us a bottle here. And we are going to use this to keep celebrating our first anniversary. Guys, we hope that you enjoyed lunch. Thanks for making us part of your lunch hour and part of your lunch discussion. We are so grateful. Somebody's telling me that if it's red wine, it has to be served at room temperature. You see these bourgeois people that we got to deal with here? If I look want me wine with little ice, light drink like a we guys got to knock ice in our glass, right? I'm hearing now white wine must be served chilled and red wine is room temperature. Folks, just send me the book, man. Oh, shucks. I'm always eager for new information. Thanks for joining us, folks, for this, our lunch hour. It has been our privilege. Thanks for joining Below the Belt. See you guys this evening in the ring. But thanks for joining us so much during this lunch hour Below the Belt. Stay safe.
We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking